Welcome to the third module. This module is on metaphysics. This module is one of the two that are 4 weeks in length. There are two modules that are 4 weeks in length and one that's 3 weeks in length. And those are the next three modules, so the main part of the semester. But this one is 4 weeks in length. And so I want to sort of caution you at first that doesn't mean everything is due at the end of 4 weeks. Part of it is due before then. For example, there's a movie critique or sort of a response to an example from a movie that I give, and that's due in a week. And then there's some others, such as a group project that's due on October 6th, a week before the module ends. All these are on Mondays at 8 p.m. And that is due then. That way you can then take time to critique the other groups projects. That's part of this. That's the second assignment. So just keep that in mind. But the other thing is there's a lot of information and a lot of stuff that will support what's going on in here. And so you really need to be able to kind of be working your way through this as slowly as we go along, so that you aren't just waiting till the last minute and trying to read 100 pages and complete, 7-8 lessons all at once and do a bunch of stuff and trying to do that all in 2 days. That's going to be pretty rough. I mean, you can do it if you want, but I would recommend pacing it out and also keeping in mind there are some intermediary deadlines. Now, as far as it goes, metaphysics is basically the study of ultimate reality, and it's basically asking the question of what is real. Actually, the word metaphysics, sort of to give you a little bit of a lesson, is a word that comes from Aristotle. Aristotle wrote a book called Physics, and he called the book Physics, obviously. They're the book on physics. And he then wrote a book on metaphysics. And not really knowing what to call it, because there wasn't a word for what the topic was, he called it the book that follows the book on physics, because in the order of how he wrote it, and then he wrote a book on metaphysics. And so metaphysics is literally, from the Greek, means that which follows physics. But it also is fitting because essentially what metaphysics is about is it's about something beyond the physical reality. What is really real? Is it this stuff in front of us, this physical stuff, or is it a world of mind and ideas and other things? This topic oftentimes mixes in with epistemology, and so some of the questions will be somewhat epistemological in nature and some will be metaphysical. How do we know what's real versus what is actually real? And so that's part of it. These are some of the very basic concepts and a lot of what people think about when they think about philosophy, and so that's why it's such an important thing. As a matter of fact, some of the examples that I can think of that probably I was familiar with from philosophy before I ever took the course was, a lot of us have heard, the old saying, if a tree falls in the woods, nobody's there to hear it, does it make a sound? That's a metaphysical question that comes from idealism and the idea that, for example, this Bishop Berkeley, who was a philosopher, would have said, no, it doesn't make a sound because sound is only that which is perceived. There's nothing but perception. But Berkeley would have also said, God perceives it, therefore it exists. The other one is, I think, therefore I am, from Descartes. I think, therefore I am. Many of you have heard that saying, and that comes from Descartes, and it's basically his intuition of existence, basically. A lot of metaphysics comes down to, and what we'll focus in on this, is sort of what we would call a difference between the mind-body problem, or the mind versus body. In modern society, I think we are very much focused on the fact that we believe the physical world is real, we believe our bodies are real, we believe cars are real, and trees, and science, and all that stuff, and so we believe that very much. But other people have believed that, this is all a hoax, and that really what's real is this world of our mind, a world of souls, or spirits, or gods, and ghosts, and other things, and that this is all in some ways just a deception, and that we need to focus on something beyond it. And then there is sort of what probably in some ways is more common nowadays, generally, is the idea that, that both of those are real, and that we need to focus on both the physical reality and a world of mind. And so what is real, which of those, and going back and forth, has been sort of a perennial issue, is which is right. Is it body, is it mind, is it both? How do they interact? And those are all the questions of what we get into. It gets very deep, it gets very nuanced, it gets very specific. You know, I mean, I'm just saying that, you know, there are a lot of questions, and we're going to take a pretty quick primer of it, but, you know, there are a lot of questions that would relate to metaphysics.